What was ruined by rich people? I stopped going to professional sports because I can only afford shitty seats. Not worth the effort anymore. Old school ski mountains with family vibes in stoner lifties rocking to music. We always watch those silly ski patrol movies about the big corporations coming in and making them yuppie and then it happened. Concerts. Any hobby where there's potential profit. Now you've got dickheads like the Logan Paul ruining Pokemon cards. Not because they're into them because they like Pokemon but because they read the stories about the rare cards and just hammered their endless piles of cash into getting everything. Same with those asshole sheiks with massive comic book collections. They don't give a fuck about comics. They just collect popular valuable stuff. The housing market. Burning Man, Colorado. Collecting in the past few years, the price of little collectibles and things of that sort have gone insanely high. Cards, action figures, you name it. Just look up any sub for a hobby and you'll see people dropping your entire salary in one day. 80s and 90s cars. The market is super hot right now and all the rich guys are buying them up. Sorta like 50s and 60s cars in the 90s. Beaches. Overdevelopment, they fuck it up every damn time. Theme parks. Gone are the days when everyone was equal and you all had to queue, regardless of your income. And even until recently some theme parks gave fast passes periodically throughout the day. Now if you've got deep pockets you can queue jump, making your day a little better and everyone else's a little worse. Cheap and simple dishes. Ramen, tacos, sushi. Now everything's gotta be labeled premium only to taste the exact same, if not, worse. The middle class. So many things, but I'd say trucks. Once upon a time, a humble working class vehicle for people who need to be able to do things themselves, now they're all luxury vehicles with massive margins, unaffordable to anyone who needs them to do real work. Aspen, Colorado. Everest. Everything really. Mofos have more money than common sense and jack up the prices for the rest of us. Why is pork shoulder and oxtail so expensive? It literally used to be the parts nobody wanted. The standard of living for everyone else. Thrifting. Housing flipping for sure, looking to potentially buy at the moment and everything has been fitted with new gray kitchens and modern lighting etc., which isn't my style. I may be in the minority here but means paying way more for a house and then having the job of ripping everything out. Clothing brands. Carhartt, Dickies, Levi's and many more. Like why did a Dickies t-shirt go from $15 to almost $40 in a few years? Thrift stores. Cheap foods, like chicharrones or tuétano. I'm from Mexico. When I was a kid, tuétano was something that were even gift in meats market, now they sell you a damn bone-in meat price or even higher. The same with chicharrón, that was really cheap to buy, but with rich people discovering how good it is, now is impossible. All places up the prices because rich people buy it at high rates, and don't know what the heck they are shopping anyway. Government. My hometown, a lot of the long-time locals here are working class and it used to have a bigger sense of community. In the recent decade rich people have decided that it's a cute small town with pretty scenery to buy a second home to rent out to other rich people who want to visit. Many of the long-time residents here are struggling to find homes. Meanwhile rich people who just discovered this small town can easily buy a home or rent an overpriced Airbnb. Literally disgusting here now. Bourbon. It used to be the most expensive bourbon you could find was like $100. Now, with everyone collecting, the prices have skyrocketed. The secondary market is completely insane. There used to be a really nice big park in the center of the city where I live. Everyone would go there, it was a nice open space, take your kids, take your dogs, enjoy the fresh air. Then some people from the rich part of town along the edges of the park decided they didn't like the noise coming from the park and pulled some bullshit to buy it out and walled it off so you couldn't go to the park unless you lived in that specific neighborhood anymore. The worst part is a ton of money was spent when they first bought it building it up, adding fountains and children's play areas and redoing the flower beds, and then no money or attention was given to it again and the whole place fell into disrepair. So now even if you live in the neighborhood you can't go there because everything is falling apart and overgrown. So the assholes took the really nice park from everyone else and then neglected it until it became a shithole in the middle of the city. Every single piece of water with accessible waterfronts. Edit. Wow, lots of upvotes. Going forward, upvotes will be $8. Tulum, Jackson Hope, Aspen, many rural areas of Colorado, Antigua, Guatemala, Land Rover Defenders, etc. Formerly cool towns Denver, Austin, Asheville, etc. Sailboats. Used to be you could on a working man's salary get a decent day sailing boat that you could go out with for the day with enough cabin space and amenities to live aboard for a long weekend, maybe a week. Like the McGregor 26. But nobody makes mere sailboats anymore, they make yachts. Expensive, over-designed yachts. Once the rich find out about anything good, they wreck it for the rest of us. Sex, drugs, rock and roll, internet environment. Being poor. I can't even be homeless without trying to fight for a camping spot. Thailand. It used to be a backpacker's paradise. You used to be able to stay in huts on the beach and eat in local family-run restaurants. All taken over by 5-star spa resort hotels, international chains and businesses moved in. Nerd paraphernalia like Star Wars or Marvel, DC stuff, action figures, comic books, etc. used to be just a fun hobby for kids and kids at heart. Now it's almost totally purchased by richer, dedicated speculators solely for profit. When I was 21 and single, fishmongers used to give away throw-out fish heads. They now charge. Flank steak was way cheap until people learned how to cook it. Now it's bloody expensive. Concerts. You can't even buy a beer at one for what a general admission ticket used to cost, and people still pay for it. Music festivals used to be a bunch of hippies having a good time and doing drugs. Now it's rich kids taking selfies dressed as hippies and doing drugs. The easy answer, everything. The harder answer, interclass solidarity and quality of life. They've worked so hard to separate the have-nots into their own little groups. We're too busy fighting each other instead of taking the fight, politically speaking, to the rich and the 1%. You have more in common with your fellow man than you ever will with a Bill Gates or Elon Musk. Lobsters. Housing used to be the only people buying houses were those that were intending to live in them. Now you have rich people looking into investing in real estate, and guess what? Rich houses are poor investments. So rich people are buying up all the affordable housing, driving up the price and creating scarcity. The middle-class family's ability to live comfortably on a single wage. Earth. The American dream socio-economic mobility has been completely perverted due to a rigging of the system by the ultra-wealthy over the past few decades. When someone is born into poverty, now more than ever are they likely to stay impoverished. 400 families control more wealth in this country than the bottom 50 of Americans. Hockey. The equipment is now super expensive, and ice time fees are becoming exorbitant. This isn't even getting into levels of play. If you want to have a shot at the NHL, then your family better be able to fork over $20,000, $30,000 for AAA prep schools or the like, because Tier I junior teams and Major Junior, which are the leagues that the NHL scouts, only select from AAA leagues. Gestures at everything. Edit. Thank you, kind strangers, for the awards. Avocados. Video games. They've found a way to sell unfinished games while also maximizing microtransactions in some. Some companies are better about this, but the big ones are all about the money with as little effort as possible. The economies and well-being of natives of a crap ton of islands. I'm talking Hawaii, places in the Caribbean, etc., becoming economically dependent on tourist culture that is created and ultimately profited on by rich foreigners sucks. PPL can argue about whether or not their trip to these places are helping the economy or not. But what's undeniable is that the people creating these tourist economies don't give a single shit about the natives as they bulldoze through sacred sites and native neighborhoods in order to hand out culturally inaccurate hula skirts at 3-star hotels. Cheap food and booze. Everything rich people discover a diamond in the rough, it gets too expensive and commercialized. The UK's economy. Or at this point the UK. Of it. Send help politicians who don't hate their people. Please. Tipping. The history of tipping has roots in rich assholes not wanting to pay their workers or just showing off their wealth. Now Americans others need to solve a math problem before they can leave the restaurant. Almost everything that has anything to do with money at this point. ATVs. I remember when a 500cc machine was overkill. Now everyone has 25k utes that are like driving trucks on the trails. Tiny houses or organic farming, free-range chickens or egg. Now everything is expensive because it's in trend. Renting, buying property, taxes, anything that affects my ability to live the future I want based on cost living while they're out on vacation in Bali. I'm going to just say it, as it's the season. Christmas corporations really did a number on Christmas. Plastic junkie decorating starting as early as Halloween, really dated irritating songs playing in every store starting November, all the consuming and now this buy gifts for yourself narrative. The more you can ignore all this, the more meaningful the holidays are.
I hope you all are doing well, and thanks for watching. Don't forget to like if you enjoyed this video. If you have something to say critically or otherwise, leave a comment. And if you enjoy this content, don't forget to subscribe to see more of it. I hope you all have wonderful and fulfilled lives.